So the Indiana Fever fans are furious with this signing. Absolutely furious with the fact the Fever have signed someone who appears to be a Caitlin Clark hater in Brianna Turner.
Brianna Turner, who the Indiana Fever recently signed, has a history of disparaging Caitlin Clark. Yes, that's the same Caitlin Clark who was supposed to be her teammate. Now, fans of the Indiana Fever are staring at her like, "Girl, you're sure you're in the right locker room." This drama is hotter than a Steph Curry heat check, and we haven't even started training camp yet.
You sign Brianna Turner, it seems to us anyway, like, was that just a line of BS? Because I can't imagine why you would sign her. I understand she's supposed to be this great defensive player, but is it worth taking a flamethrower to your fan base and your locker room, by the way?
In free agency, Indian Fever was creating a masterpiece. They had all the necessary components, the appropriate players, and the fans were excited. But then Brianna Turner came on board, and all of a sudden the recipe tasted a little strange. Turner was meant to be a defensive powerhouse and a crucial addition to strengthen the Fever's lineup, so fans were expecting blocks. Instead of stealing and playing lockdown defense, they received a Twitter scandal that was more intense than a double overtime buzzer beater.
Haven't seen this before, but kudos to them for publicly honoring all their accomplishments. I'm confused. Is this what runner-up does? It does if you're Iowa. I'm sorry, it does. It's like when it's a Cinderella run. Like, you don't have to win. Like, you don't understand. People do not understand. This was a team that went to back-to-back Cinderella runs.
It turns out that Turner had some thoughts about Caitlin Clark, and not just yesterday. No, these were pre-WNBA, pre-Fever thoughts straight from her college days. And when fans discovered those tweets, let's just say it wasn't pretty. Imagine hiring a top-tier bodyguard only to discover that they once disparaged your star player in a viral rant. That's exactly what's happening here. The tweets were essentially a highlight reel of Turner venting on Clark and her Iowa squad, and now she's entering the same locker room where Caitlin Clark is the main attraction. It would be like applying for a job where you were once publicly named the CEO.
And you took time after every single game to sign autographs for fans, whether you were home or away, out of town. Why did that mean so much to you to take that time?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, I used to be in those young girl shoes, whether you're a young boy, young girl. I ran around with two brothers that idolized girls and boys and wanted to be like them. And I think those are the people that allowed me to dream and want to be in moments like this. So it was something I enjoyed. I would say you all inspire me just as much as I inspire you. And you allowed me to live out my dream every single day. And for that, I'm forever thankful. So thank you. It's been very special. And this place will always be home to me. And I hope to be back at a lot of games. And I encourage all of you to do the same. Continue to support this team the way that you have over the course of the last 2 years. So thank you.
Consequently, the Fever signed Brianna Turner, who barely played the previous season, disparaged the entire Loa fan base and Caitlin Clark's outstanding senior class. Gabby Marshall and Kate Martin for honoring the group and supporters who helped women's basketball become a popular sport.
You gotta ask yourself why. Indiana fans are not happy. Obviously, Caitlin Clark had to say yes to this decision, but they're not happy because Brianna Turner has said a whole lot about a whole lot. And I'm gonna jump into it real fast to show the levels of hypocrisy of the WNBA. I keep telling you that the WNBA is a hypocrite league, and they're filled with bullshitters and liars, and it just continues.
To use basketball terminology for the detractors, Turner's unintentional self-oop was like running a flawless fast break and tripping over your own shoelaces. Oh, they're making sure she hears it. Over time, Social media is ablaze with activity, with some people laughing at the irony, others furious, and yet others enjoying the mayhem while munching on popcorn. Do one thing without a doubt. You know that Caitlin Clark has seen the tweets, and whether she responds to them or not, she has a front row seat to the chaos. Turner didn't even need to step onto the court to shake up the Fever season. Indiana Fever went from believing they had a defensive savior to questioning whether they just signed their own biggest hater.
So, I don't know, Indiana Fever fans, if they're interested in a good basketball player and a good rim protector, you will enjoy, Brianna Turner, and I wish you guys the best of luck.
This resembles a reality TV plotline masquerading as a sports narrative. The comparisons are endless. It's like inviting someone to your wedding only to discover that they once wrote a whole Facebook post about how your musical taste is garbage. It's like hiring a chef who once tweeted that your favorite dish is disgusting. One day Turner is a solid free agency pickup, and the next she's public enemy #1 to a fan base that was just beginning to welcome her. What happens next is the big question. The Indiana Fever wanted an elite defender, but instead they got a PR nightmare, and the worst part is that it was self-inflicted. There were no scandalous headlines or off-court incidents, just some good old-fashioned tweet digging, demonstrating once again that the internet never forgets. It will be difficult to win over basketball fans because they never give up receipts, and Brianna Turner recently discovered she is on the losing end of the biggest one Indiana Fever fans have witnessed in a long time. Turner must show up, play her heart out, and somehow convince them that she is here for the team and not against them.
Feel free to unfollow, mute, or block me if that is bothersome to you. Always protect your peace. She goes on to say, I will not bend the knee or change my online advocacy efforts to appease others.
Had no problem signing with the Indiana Fever. Because the reality is, these women don't believe the things that they say. It makes it very hard to take anything that they say for what they say. Even to the point of, oh, look at this. Brianna Turner, 2/17/25. That was today. She's on Twitter today. I'm not even having to go back to look at these other things.
Brianna Turner has already had a rough start with Indiana Fever supporters, and to be honest, nobody was shocked when her signing was revealed. Instead, fans moaned because they knew exactly what was going to happen, and guess what? They were correct. By blocking fans who dared to question her previous remarks about Caitlin Clark, Turner quickly established herself as the antagonist. Let's face it, Brianna Turner has a history of disparaging Clark. When Clark was dominating in college, Turner was one of the many WNBA players who watched her success and threw subtle and not-so-subtle shade. Now, she suddenly teams up with the player she has criticized. That won't go over well, and fans are already wondering how she will fit into a locker room that should be supporting Clark rather than trying to bring her down.
Folks, we are less than 96 hours removed from signing Brianna Turner. And she's tweeted multiple things. She has yet to tweet, happy to be here in Indiana. Happy to be a part of the crew. Instead, she gets on her bully pulpit now that she is on a team with fans that actually might give a shit about her. Did that sound harsh? Oh well. She went on her bully pulpit now that she has a bigger platform because she's associated with America's team. And she wastes, I hate misogyny, as we all do.
However, rather than attempting to win over fans, Turner is going on a blocking spree. If you even bring up her old tweets or ask why she suddenly feels comfortable with Clark, the internet never forgets. Let's compare this to someone like Aaliyah Boston, who has been nothing but welcoming to Clark Boston AR star in her own right, and understands that having Clark on the team is a good thing. She's demonstrating leadership by accepting the challenge and realizing that Clark improves the team, while Turner is out here acting like a child caught talking behind someone's back. Fans wanted players who would foster team chemistry, not destroy it, and now they have Turner who could potentially ruin the locker room as a whole. Imagine Clark entering the locker room eager to start working, and Turner crossing her arms and lowering her gaze as if she hadn't spent the previous year downplaying Clark's talent. That's awkward, that's tense, and that's not what this squad needs.
Turner is a rim protector. High-level rebounder, all-around defensive steward. two-time All-WNBA first team. Look, hell, just add Cheryl Swoops to the locker room while you're at it.
And furthermore, the team already had enough drama from the previous season's setbacks, a new coaching staff, and the pressure to turn things around. They didn't need a player who is abrasive and can't take a little criticism. Fever fans wanted reinforcements, not distractions, so now instead of concentrating on winning games, Turner is occupied with curating her social media feed like a teenage influencer who just received their first round of criticism. Rather than proving herself on the court, she is avoiding fans on Twitter and bringing in unnecessary drama. This signing was a mistake, and Fever fans know it. The locker room will soon realize it, and eventually even the front office will realize it.
Outside chatter influences a locker room. I know that's a crazy concept, but it's the truth. That's why it's so important to have a tight-knit locker room to block out that chatter. That's why it was so important to have somebody like E-Dub, who's not going to be an activist the whole entire season, blocking out the noise, instead of somebody like Brianna Turner, who's only trying to be an activist, inciting the noise, adding to the noise, giving fuel to the fire. Ben, what did Brianna Turner do this time? Does it matter? Does it matter?
The Indiana Fever had one mission: to build a championship team around Caitlin Clark. They were stacking talent, adding key pieces, and preparing for a dominant season when they unexpectedly signed Brianna Turner, the player who has publicly dismissed Caitlin Clark's impact and who is always saying that other WNBA players should receive more attention. They felt that Turner would be a perfect fit. This is a calamity waiting to happen, not just a poor decision. Although Turner isn't exactly known for lighting up the scoreboard, she isn't a dominant force, a game changer, or the key to winning a championship, but she does cause problems in the locker room. Why bring in someone who has made it apparent that she doesn't believe in the Caitlin Clark effect? Indiana needed support for their franchise player, not someone who will criticize every headline Clark receives.
When you're saying stuff on his internet, it is going to be archived. Somebody's going to screenshot it. Somebody's going to save it. It is going to be there. And the way these fans react whenever they get a new player, I mean, they're going through your Twitter, your replies. Hell, they might look and see who your cousins is and go through their stuff. That is just the nature of the business when you sign to a big-time franchise like the Indiana Fever. It's almost like the fans is going to interview you themselves. After you got signed, the fans is going to, you know what I'm saying, do a background check.
Let's be honest. Brianna Turner shows up with nothing but Twitter fingers and a defensive rating that begs for liability, despite the fact that Indiana is loaded with the league's best 5 players wearing their jerseys. Fever supporters expected a team player, someone with energy, and someone who was prepared to work hard for a championship. But instead, they received a part-time hooper on social media. Full-time warrior likens her to this team's actual dogs. Out here, Caitlin Clark is altering the game by controlling the paint like it's her own backyard with Elia Boston. A bucket certified by Kelsey Mitchell powerhouse was immediately followed by Sophie Cunningham. Given that Brianna Turner is an expert in blocking people online and teaches a masterclass on the subject, perhaps Fever followers should start blocking her shots, as she obviously has trouble with it herself.
The Fever did not come to play. They are on a mission to win now, like 2025 championship season incoming. They were so quiet during free agency. And in the past 24 hours, boom, boom, boom. Re-signed Kelsey Mitchell to a max deal. Picked up Natasha Howard, bringing her back to the Indiana Fever, where she was originally drafted. And then they just announced a 3-way trade, sending Alyssa Smith to Dallas and Sophie Cunningham coming to the Fever.
Hopes for a championship are still alive, but only if Turner recalls that she plays basketball and that Twitter discussions aren't the only thing that block fans care about. Perhaps she should log into some additional practice instead of Twitter. Since her greatest stats at the moment are tweets per minute, Indiana is attempting to create something unique. They have the pieces, the talent, and the energy. They don't need a walking distraction. Fever fans expected a hooper, but all they got was an influencer. At this point, she might as well start releasing Get Ready With Me videos before the game. Perhaps she'll actually make an impact somewhere. Turner, Brianna simply put, if you don't come up and prove yourself, you'll simply be leading the bench during warm-up exercises.
Background check that ain't checking out right, man. Because I am stunned, dog. I am definitely stunned with this one, man. I wasn't expecting none of this, like I stated in the beginning part. I'm trying to look and see how her contract looked. What's the breakdown with that? How much cap space is left? All that. You know, I was getting ready to drop video about all that, then all of a sudden,
It wouldn't have been a WNBA free agency without a significant shakeup, and Brianna Turner may have been the biggest one yet. However, the Indiana Fever made a move that has fans wondering if it was a fantastic defensive grab or, let's face it, a total waste of contract space. Brianna Turner is like that group project participant who shows up, says a few words, and somehow gets credit for the entire thing. She has been in the league since 2019, and her stats show that she is a defensive specialist, which is simply a fancy way of saying that she doesn't score. That's right, she is a starting caliber WNBA player who hardly makes a layup every quarter, and her best defensive move is to pass the ball to someone who can actually get buckets.
If Doncic play the 5 and she may play the 4 from time to time, okay, or vice versa, whatever the case may be. You picked up somebody who can run the floor and play defense. But what else does she play? I'm scrolling down her Twitter feed and I see she likes to play victim.
We will have to wait and see how things work out before allowing Brianna to do her talking on the floor. But for now, Fever fans will have to watch what she tweets and proceed from there if they like it. The Fever needs firepower, someone who is going to defend for everything, and yes, Brianna can do that. However, her antics off the floor might cause the biggest problems for the Fever. Additionally, subscribe to see more videos today.